Americans, we like to make lists. We like to rank things. If you turn on any sports radio show in the country, you'll get to listen to ball players being ranked who never played against one another. Who was the greatest of all time? Who was the best fighter? Who was the best basketball player? The best ballerina? It doesn't matter. We can't help but rank things as Americans. Who was the best president? Who was the worst? Well, the answer of that, of course, is the guy who was just reelected to a second term after his first with 49% of the vote. The 45th president was the worst in history. We'll see how he combines with the 47th. This is the warning. The United States government is sustained by a principle we call checks and balances. Did you know, for example, that the presidency, the executive branch, is not more powerful than the legislative branch or the judicial branch? They're all equal. They all have powers that are enumerated. It's a fancy word for listed in the Constitution. That's what a lot of the legal fights before the Supreme Court are about. Who has power to do what? Now, how many of you thought that a United States senator works for the president? They don't. Co-equal. Each state sends 2 representatives to work in the United States Senate to vote on life and death matters, to cooperate with the president, to oppose him when necessary. But the senators the state sends, just like the members of Congress it elects, and just like the president it chooses, in the American system, though they have different powers, they have different roles, they have different responsibilities, they are all equal. Now, one of the responsibilities that Donald Trump has is to appoint a cabinet. And so immediately in the media, the ranking game starts. Who's the most incompetent? Is it Tulsi Gabbard, or is it Pete Hegseth? Or is it Matt Gaetz? Or is it Kristi Noem? Or is it Robert F. Kennedy? The American media lacks the capacity to cover all 5, which is incredible if you think about it. They can't take all 5 of these people and communicate about them as if they are separate but equal threats to your life and health, which they surely are. So instead, they're ranked. There is no evidence to suggest that Tulsi Gabbard is any less or more dangerous than Robert F. Kennedy at this point. The evidence concludes, if you read it, that they're all equally unfit, that none of these people should ever have a position of public trust because psychologically they're unsuited for it. Tulsi Gabbard isn't smart enough for the job she's been nominated for. She can't deduce complex information into a simple conclusion. And she's a cult member who believes her yoga gives her the power to see full truth. Robert F. Kennedy is an addict, sex addict, drug addict, pathological liar, somebody who causes profound pain wherever they walk in life. He will kill a lot of people, profoundly unfit to regulate America's public health. And by the way, yes, the FDA is corrupt and it is broken, but an unfit, dangerous narcissist isn't the person to fix it. There's Matt Gaetz. There are no words. Now, Matt Gaetz was under an ethics committee investigation because, in part, he did this.
You got to think about this guy. This is a guy that the media didn't give a time of day to after he was accused of sleeping with an underage girl. And there's a reason why no one in the conference came and defended him, because we had all seen the videos he was showing on the House floor that all of us had walked away of the girls that he had slept with. He'd brag about how he would crush ED medicine and chase it with an energy drink so he could go all night.
But then Markwayne Mullin, since he's a cult member who lacks toughness and grit, is going to say, but since Donald Trump picked him, everything is okay.
Are you going to vote for Matt Gaetz?
You know, Matt Gaetz and I, there's no question that we've had our differences. They've been very public about it. I completely trust President Trump's decision making on this one. But at the same time, he's got to come to Congress and sell himself. There's a lot of, or to the Senate and sell himself. There's a lot of questions that are going to be out there. He's got to answer those questions. And hopefully he's able to answer the questions right. And if he can, then
we'll go through the confirmation process.
Why not get Diddy out of Rikers Island and make him Matt Gaetz' deputy? Make America great again. Pete Hegseth, Trump's nominee to be Secretary of Defense, claims, get this, he, the tough guy, was sexually assaulted by a mom at a Republican conference in Monterey. Now, the woman went and got a rape kit. The woman's friend made the report. She had bruising on her thighs, and Pete Hegseth wrote her a check. I want to see every detail of Pete Hegseth's payoff. The military has a rape crisis, and this man has been accused of allegedly raping a civilian. We know already that Pete Hegseth will bring dishonor and shame and the sensibility of a loser to the Pentagon. And that he'll go in there and he will wreck as quickly as he can the apolitical traditions of the American military. He's a threat to the most lethal military in all the world. If he gets in there, he's going to hurt it very, very badly. Now, more than anything else, when we ask the question, how is it that this happened? How is it that after 9 years, Donald Trump is back in the White House? The answer is the American media, above all others. America's access media helped produce a reality show. And that reality show pushed every serious issue to the bottom of the barrel, and it made billions celebrating the freak show. There's an old saying, if a clown goes to a castle, he does not become a king. The castle becomes a circus, and the ringmasters of the circus are the American media. Now, yesterday, there was a ludicrous interview that took place between Jake Tapper and Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. The purpose of interviews with powerful public officials is to hold them to account in the name of the public interest. The reason that so many of these people, like Mike Johnson, line up to go on Jake Tapper's show is they know they're going to a softball game. There will be no tough questions. There will be no interruptions. They can do it in their sleep without preparation. I've told a lot of politicians over the years, there's no bad questions, just bad answers. We're going to watch Mike Johnson filibuster an answer without interruption. But the question that Tapper doesn't ask successfully is one about hypocrisy. Donald Trump is an adjudicated rapist who's been credibly accused of assaulting dozens of women. Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian stooge. Robert F. Kennedy should be in a psych ward. Kristi Noem is a dog-killing sadist and allegedly, openly, Corey Lewandowski's girlfriend. And then there's Matt Gaetz. The Matt Gaetz who walked around on the floor of the House showing naked pictures of 17-year-old girls bragging about how he would snort Viagra, chase it with Monster energy drinks, and go all night long. And Jake Tapper asked Mike Johnson, shouldn't there be any standard? And here's Mike Johnson's answer.
You're a man of faith. You're a man of God. You're a man of family. With some of these nominees, Gaetz, Hegseth, RFK Jr., I wonder, does it matter anymore for Republicans to think of leaders as people who are moral in their personal lives? Is that still important to the Republican Party?
Sure. It's an important issue for anyone in leadership. This is what I'll say about the nominees that the president has put forward, is that they are persons who will shake up the status quo. And I think what the American people have believe and what they've delivered with the mandate in this election is a demand that we shake up the status quo. It's not working for the American people. So use the term in the opening about how these are disruptors. They are. I think that's by design. Any president has the right to name their own cabinet, to nominate persons that they think will fulfill their agenda. And the people that are on this list will do that. They will go into the agencies that they're being asked to lead, and they will reform them. These agencies need reform. And I think the vast majority of the American people understand that. You can't have status quo appointments in a moment like this. I'm really excited about the days ahead. I think the America First policies will deliver for the American people. I think we're going to have a warm embrace of all the new new folks who came into the Republican Party in this election cycle, the demographic shifts that we saw that were historic, because we have a chance now to demonstrate for them that our policies, our conservative constitutional policies, common sense policies are best for them as individuals and families and communities and states and the nation as a whole. So exciting days ahead. It is a new day in America. These individuals will help deliver that, and I think the Senate needs to do its job and get them appointed so that the President Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance can begin that administration and run with it on day one.
We're in a lot of trouble. The good news is this: the cardinal sin in American life is hypocrisy. And the one thing that Donald Trump was able to skate by on in 2024 was hypocrisy. He's not so much a hypocrite because he is exactly what he appears to be. But Mike Johnson and most of the rest are. And it will start to be their undoing. There's a couple of things that Democrats have to insist. And we'll practice the lines right now. Release the Hegseth report. It's not hard to say. And Democrats will have to get good at saying these words: MAGA rubber stamp Congress, and MAGA rubber stamp House, and MAGA rubber stamp Senate. Democrats will have to fight back now. Will have to attack. These are some of the most unworthy people that have ever been nominated to anything in the history of the United States. These confirmations need to be brutal. They need to be fought. They need to be opposed. A marker needs to be laid down. A fight, even if it's lost, needs to be initiated. Fight back against these unqualified people. It will be hard because the Democratic Senate is poorly and incompetently led by Chuck Schumer. So it will likely come to pass that a lot of these people will lead the departments of the American government that have the capacity to kill a lot of us, imprison a lot of us, poison a lot of us, or do as they wish. We don't have to tolerate it, and we have other recourses than to have feeble Democratic senators who don't know how to fight, who won't fight, who can't talk, who can't ask questions, and a decrepit media do it for us. We're going to have to do it ourselves, the American people. We'll have to push back, fight back, resist, protest. Terrible days are ahead, but beyond them is the beginning of renewal and an American reawakening. We'll get there, but first, there will be pain. This is The Warning. I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning, and I invite you to subscribe on our Substack, on our YouTube channel. Follow us. Welcome to the community.